Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an excellent bill. I commend the sponsors. I commend you for scheduling it, and I urge everyone to vote for it. I also commend the chairman for his realism, for the realism of his remarks a few minutes ago, pointing out that that likely in the next bill or two, some of the discussion that Mr. Deutsch started would continue, and indeed it will. I want to make a couple comments in this respect. Number one, two comments really. Number one, talking about that dossier and who paid for it is a total red herring and irrelevancy. Originally, it started being paid, GPS Fusion, or whoever did it, was originally paid by a Republican donor who didn't like Mr. Trump, who was supporting some other candidate. When it became clear that Mr. Trump was going to win the Republican nomination, he stopped, and it was picked up by Democratic sources who continued to do it, and I think it was the DNC. In any event, there was nothing wrong with when the Republican donor, who I think it was Mr. Singer, did it. There was nothing wrong with when the Democrats did it. There's nothing wrong with paying for opposition research. The question with regard to that dossier is not who paid for it, because it doesn't matter who paid for it as long as it's properly reported. What matters is it true? Are the allegations within it true or not? So far, some of those allegations have been verified. Many have not yet been. I'm not aware that any has been definitely disproven, but maybe some will be. The question is, as I said, not who paid for it, which is a total red herring, because every campaign pays for opposition research, and there's no reason that the Democrats shouldn't have paid for it. There's no reason that some rival Republican campaign shouldn't have paid for it. It's legal, it's fine, it's normally done. The question is are the allegations, are the assertions in it true or not? And we will see. But the red herring about who paid for it is irrelevant. Secondly, what is not irrelevant is that the electoral process was sought to be subverted by a hostile foreign power, namely Russia. People in the United States cooperated with that. Obviously, people in the Trump campaign, we now know, were interested in cooperating, at least to some extent. They wanted dirt on Hillary. They were eager to accept dirt on Hillary, as they put it, from the Russian government. Whether that actually happened or not remains to be seen. But the point is, there was an active attempt by the Russians to subvert our election. There was at least some cooperation from some people within the Trump campaign. We'll see how far that went. But it is this committee's jurisdiction to look into some of this, regardless of criminal charges. Mr. Mueller is pursuing criminal charges. And maybe people committed, well, obviously some people probably committed crimes, and we'll see who they are and what happens. But our charge is not crimes. Our charge is protecting the integrity of American democracy, protecting the integrity of the FBI, protecting the integrity of the Justice Department. And clearly things happened in the Justice Department and in the FBI. The firing of Mr. Comey, Mr. Trump said because of the Russian thing, which may or may not have amounted to the criminal charge of obstruction of justice, but were clearly improper. And it is this committee's jurisdiction, which we have absolutely ignored, to have oversight over the conduct of the FBI and over the Justice Department, among others. And in this grave crisis for American democracy, and it is a grave crisis for American democracy, where people in this country, who is a different question, but people in this country clearly worked with, maybe even just the people from WikiLeaks, but many people in this country clearly, people in this country clearly worked with agents of a hostile foreign power to subvert an election, to support one candidate over another. The use of the internet, which is also partially under the jurisdiction of this committee, was used clearly by the Russians with fake ads, with fake news stories, with all kinds of things. See, I think the figure was that
fakeness came out of the Democrats.
Supported by, started by the Russians, was seen by 126 million Americans. Now, nobody knows. Obviously, no one can ever know whether all this affected the result of the election. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. That's not the point. The point is our election process was attacked, it was subverted, and we have to make sure that we have protections in place so it doesn't happen again.
Let's talk about the vans full of fucking Hillary Clinton ballots. The job of this committee, the jurisdiction of this committee, and we are very shamefully ignoring it. And I think that is Mr. Deutsch's complaint, that is my complaint. Mr. Douchebag's
regardless of the actions of the special prosecutor in looking at crimes, Our job is not to look at crimes, it's to protect the integrity of the democratic process with a small d in the United States.
After you spend 5 minutes bashing Trump, right?
Do it. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman.